are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio, man. We are here once again, and man, today we have another show for y'all. Man, we get to talk to the founder and CEO of Edge Leadership Academy, David Kitch. He's also known as Coach Kitch. He is going to talk to us a little bit about his journey, his life, and also why he started this business. First and foremost, David, man, Coach Kitch, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing phenomenal, brother. I'm just fired up to be on here with you. Anytime I get a chance to do these podcasts, I get jacked up, man. It's a great way to spend my evening.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for being on here. So talk to us a little bit about your background, because you're a former Division1 coach, and you're also in pursuit of your PhD candidate in sports psychology. So take us back, man. What got you passionate about sports?
Yeah, man. So I was blessed, man. And a lot of people kind of think it's goofy when I say it that way, but I was blessed to be raised by a single parent. And so my mom raised me. I had a little brother. And so for me, man, sports was always an outlet. Sports was always somewhere that I could go, that I could focus my attention. It was somewhere that I could go, that I could let out some of my aggression. It was somewhere that I could go, that I realized very quickly the work that I put in was what I got out. And so athletics for me were kind of my everything, and my identity was shaped around that from a young age. And I was blessed to go to a high school called Berwick High School, which, if you look on, any top 25 list for high schools, we're always, in the top 25 in the country. And so it's a very storied culture, very storied tradition. And so, winning and excellence and competition was bred in me from a young age. And so then I got the opportunity to play in college, and was still, deeply entwined with the sports, with athletics and with football. And then I actually was medically disqualified my junior year of college. So I only played 2 years of college football, blew my knee a couple times, and ended up being medically DQ'd. And then I got into high school coaching. And from then it was just, man, off to the races. Like, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to spend my career. And this is what I want to try and be the best at. And so I was fortunate to get some great opportunities along the way. I was the youngest head strength coach in the country at 24 years old at the college level. And then was fortunate to be the youngest in the country at the Division1 level at FBS, major college football. And then made my way back there with men's basketball. So I'm one of the few to reach Division1 level, coaching both sports as a strength and conditioning coach. So that was kind of where it all started. That's where athletics for me has just always been that anchor. It's always been that kind of home for me. And so that was the background of all this. But what I've realized since then is that the lessons that I've learned and the psychology aspect applies to so many areas beyond sports, and it applies to business, and it applies to high performance in anything that you want to do. And so that's shaped the business now. But originally it was very much so rooted in athletics and my background in athletic performance. That's what led to the master's degree in sports psychology. And then the business side of it is what led to the PhD studies in psychology.
And you also are an author as well. You have two titles, The Pyramid and The Scoreboard. Tell us a bit about the inspiration of also being a writer.
Yeah, that was they were interesting projects, man. The Scoreboard came second. So the first one was The Pyramid. I wrote that, and that was my way of giving back and kind of paying homage to the sports community and the athletics community, and giving them a tool for leaders and for coaches to be able to solve that problem that we have every time that we have a great team. So I've been in those meetings, and I've been fortunate enough to be in some really high performing environments with teams. And at the end of the season, we always sit there and we say, how do we recreate this? And how do we recreate the leadership that we have? And so I wanted to write a field guide for that. And I wanted to write something that wouldn't be overwhelming. It wasn't just theory. It was things that I've seen. It was things that I knew worked. And so I used my background in psychology and my background as a coach, and I wrote, a guide to building leaders in your program that was primarily geared towards the athletics community. But what I found very quickly was that business owners were using it and it was applying in their arena as well. And so, that was the first book. It's short. It's only, 65, 70 pages. I wanted it to be easy to digest. I wanted it to be very actionable for people. And so that was the first book. And then the second book, The Scoreboard, was a little bit different. That was me kind of peeling back the layers of the people that I've been around, the changes that I've seen in my own life, and the systems that both myself and those successful people have used to be successful. And so The Scoreboard is, again, it's an actionable book. It's something that has an audit system in it, which I use every quarter, that allows you to audit your relationships, your habits, your social circle, your finances, your health, your wealth, all those things. And it gives you a system for goal setting and how to keep that stuff in check throughout the year. So they're very different books, but they both come from a place of helping people develop character and lead themselves and lead others.
Once again, listen on Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Coach Kitch. He is the founder and president of Edge Leadership Academy. You go to the website, edgeleadershipacademy.com. And you hit one of the C's. I don't know if it's in one of the 5 C's that you often talk about, the 5 C's of successful leaders. If you don't mind sharing the audience what are those 5 C's?
Yeah, so the 5 C's and how that came to be was I like to reverse engineer things, and that's kind of how my mind works. I like to work backwards. And so I thought to myself, okay, you're working on this PhD in psychology. Let's take that and let's dive into leadership and what goes into leadership. And so what I did is I looked through the research about the highest performing leaders and the best leadership outcomes and what traits those leaders had. And then I kind of cross-referenced that with anecdotally and experientially the leaders that I had been around and some of the leaders that I've had the privilege of working with. And so what I found in the research was that there were 5 main traits that all great leaders shared. And those traits were character, consistency, commitment, creativity, and communication, right? And so I use those 5 C's to develop a curriculum to teach people how to become leaders and how to build their leadership skills. And the beautiful thing about it is that each one builds off of the others, right? So having an unbreakable character and knowing who you are and what you are after and what you want in life, and what values you have, that allows you to then become consistent. And consistency will either create or solve 90% of your problems in life. If you're consistent in the right things, you're doing great and you're going to solve 90% of life's problems. If you're consistent in the wrong things, you're going to run into adversity left and right. And so once you have that character and that consistency down, you can now know what you're going to commit to. And you can commit to the people in your life. You can commit to your vision. You can commit to the culture of your organization. And you can commit to all those things fully. And when you do that, the results come. And when the results come, it requires you to be creative. It requires you to be able to identify other people's strengths and weaknesses and utilize your team better, utilize your own strengths and weaknesses better, and find creative solutions and be a creative problem solver, and use what's called learning agility, basically taking lessons that you've learned from one context and applying them to another context or another environment, by using the same lessons. And so once you have all those things, then lastly, you can learn to communicate your vision and your mission and your values, and you can communicate effectively and efficiently with your team. And so each of those C's builds off of the others. And so it's a really unique pathway to success for high performers and for leaders.
And speaking on leaders, when it comes to different organizations, culture is a critical part of that. How do you guide individuals and teams in defining and also building their desired culture?
Yeah, I always start at the top. And I truly believe that as a leader, your culture is a reflection of you. And so, for instance, for my business now with my team and my business is a reflection of me. It's a reflection of the type of man that I am, the type of leader that I am, and the type of human that I am. And so I always start at the top. And then from there, I want to make sure that whatever we say we're about is what we're actually about. And so every organization in the world has 2 types of cultures. They have their stated culture, which is the mission statement and the thing that HR writes or the CEO writes that says this is who we are. And then they have their experience culture, which is what people on the floor and the troops on the ground are experiencing on a daily basis. What you're trying to do is close that gap so that those two things are as closely aligned as possible. The wider that gap is, the more problems you have within your organization. And so what I work to do when I work with CEOs and when I work with different teams is I want them to help give their team ownership in creating that culture. Let's be very, very specific in defining who we are and what our winning behaviors are. What does that look like? Right. And so if we say we're tough or we're a family or we're this or we're that, we're innovators, whatever your culture is, what does that actually look like on a daily basis? What behaviors are attached to that? And then how do we celebrate those things and reward those things so that they become habits and they align our stated culture with our experience culture? If you're not aligning the two, you're wasting your time. Then the culture is nothing more than words on a wall, a slogan on a t-shirt, or something that your HR department wrote up. And so I work really, really hard to take those words on the wall and turn them into actions, behaviors, emotions, and something that is a living, breathing organism that can help you take on challenges and innovate at a really high level.
Talking to our guest today, Coach Kitch, the founder and president of Edge Leadership Academy. And yeah, all that circles back to, your 5 C's, developing that character, being consistent, being committed, creativity, and communication. And that kind of pushes towards moving forward systems. Organizations have to have systems to be implemented and practice, and improving system creates more growth. So how do you tackle high performance systems and processes?
Yeah. So when I meet with teams and when I meet with even individuals that just want to be high performers, so I've had the opportunity to coach some CEOs and coach some high performing entrepreneurs and 7-figure executives and things like that. And one of the things that we always talk about is, listen, winning once can be talent. Winning once can be luck. Winning once can be a lot of things. Winning multiple times requires systems. And so I always tell people, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So as a high performer and as an organization, whether it's an individual or a team, you have to be able to measure the inputs that are giving you certain outputs. And so what I mean by that is really dialing in, okay, what systems are we using within our organization that are giving us these outputs? And so it's identifying the behaviors and the habits that go into them and then stacking the appropriate ones together to create really high leverage opportunities and really high leverage outputs through those systems. And then once you do that, what you can do is you can repeat it over time, you can reiterate on it, and you can start to add new pieces and take pieces away as you level up and go into new challenges and new adversity. So for instance, as my business grows, the systems that we used when we first started and we were only managing, 15, 20 clients, those same systems don't work when we're managing 100 clients. So what we need to do is we need to iterate on those. We need to build upon them. But if we didn't track them, we wouldn't know where our bottlenecks are. And so great people or great performers, high performers and elite people understand that nothing happens by accident. Nothing, whether it's a win or a loss, you have to reevaluate what systems got me here, what works, what didn't work. Nothing happens in a vacuum. And so it's utilizing that mindset to create systems and processes for everything in your life, right? Even down to how you onboard new friends and people coming into your social circle. What criteria are you looking for? Why is somebody in your tribe? Why is somebody close to you? Why are you keeping them close to you? What do you bring to the table in that relationship? All of these things play into that. And if you don't have a system for developing that stuff, you're just kind of floating and you don't know what's giving you what results in your life. And if you're not examining the results and examining the process that leads up to those results, you're missing out on a lot of learning opportunities that can keep you from repeating mistakes and can take you to the next level.
Yeah, speaking of mistakes, you hit the keyword mindset earlier. And when it comes to facing those seasons of adversity, right? I mean, it doesn't matter how great the system is. When a storm comes, the greatest test is what you do when it comes, And for you, how do you teach individuals on the focus on abundance versus scarcity versus their mindset?
Yeah, first and foremost, it's changing your perspective when the storm comes, right? So a lot of people see the storm and they want to run away from it. And so one of the things that I try and teach people is to get excited when the storms in your life come. Get excited for the growth that's about to occur. Get excited for the opportunity to test the things that you've been training. Get excited because it means that you're heading in the right direction, right? So instead of saying, why me, you have to change your mindset to why not me? Right? Why not? Why can't I be the one? I'm built for this storm. I'm built to go through this. I've been practicing these things in the dark. Now it's just an opportunity to show it in the light. And so you have to change that mindset first and foremost. And when you do that, you start to see, and this is where the abundance piece comes in, you start to see that there's opportunities in everything. You start to see that even though it's wrapped in a paper bag that's on fire, it's still an opportunity. Right? You just have to find it. The world is giving you opportunities. You just have to train your mind to see them. And you have to train your subconscious to constantly be looking for those opportunities, whether they're opportunities to grow, opportunities to leverage your strengths, opportunities to practice a new skill, whatever it is, the opportunities are out there. You just have to unlock that piece of your mind and start to make yourself look for those things, right? That's why they say misery loves company, because negative people see negative things. If you change your mindset, you will see more positive things because you're training your brain to think that way. And you're training that subconscious and those habits to start to create opportunities for you, right? That's why massive action leads to massive opportunities, which leads to massive results.
And speaking of results, in the world of filters, you can't fake results. So when it goes back to your 5 C's, I think those are the ingredients of a strong foundation. Mm-hmm. How important is it for people to continue to surround themselves with those that will challenge their 5 C's, so that way they're staying consistent and being aligned with that vision versus surrounding yourself with those who just kind of don't have theirs together?
Yeah, you have to evaluate the people that are around you and recognize that, your environment is going to dictate your results. Your environment is going to dictate how quickly you grow. Your environment is going to dictate, the opportunities that come your way. And when I say environment, I don't necessarily mean, obviously there's things that are out of our control, right? Like, so for instance, I grew up in a single parent household. That was part of my environment. But I didn't allow that to dictate because I was still able to see the opportunity in it. And so you have to, when you have the opportunity to pick and choose the people that you spend your time with, you have to be very smart about that. And you have to look at them and ask, what is this person bringing to the table? What values does this person represent that I admire or that I want to emulate or that I can learn from? And if the answer is none, then you shouldn't be spending time with that person, right? And so the question then becomes, how do I seek out those people? Well, you have to identify the rooms that you want to be in, and then you just got to find a way in, whether that's paying your way in or finding a relationship that you can leverage to get in, whatever it is. You have to create an environment of high-performing people and an environment of people that will hold you accountable. And, I'm not super religious, but I do like this piece from scripture that says, discipline and love and discipline go hand in hand, right? And so I want people in my circle that will discipline me. I want people in my circle that will hold me accountable to the goals and the aspirations and the character that I said I wanted and that I said I was going to be. I think it takes more love and more trust and more respect to tell somebody that they're messing up than it does to let them get away with it. Right? I don't want to be surrounded by people that are just going to let me go do what I want to do and be a slave to my emotions and my impulses and my preferences. I want somebody who's going to look at me and say, hey, you said these principles were important. You said you were rooted in these visions, this mission, these values. You're not acting like it. Right? That's, to me, that's holding somebody accountable. And that's somebody that I want in my corner.
Being able to work with different CEOs and coaches and high performers, I'm sure you had a mentor at some point. If so, do you still keep in touch with that mentor, or what have been some values that they gave to you that you still carry today in your tool set?
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to have great mentors in my career. starting back with a guy named Todd Hammer. Todd was my first my first coach in the strength and conditioning field at Robert Morris University. He was the head coach. I was an intern underneath him, and he's taught me so much, from just being a good man, and just showing up every day, ready to work and do the things that you're supposed to do. And then guys like, Bill Perkins and Sean Manuel, who were other coaches that I worked underneath. Sean is a great friend of mine now, and he taught me so much about being principle-based versus preference-based, and being able to not get caught up in emotion and see things for what they are. And then the biggest thing that he taught me as well was the ability to sit in the pressure. Right. And so when things get hard, that ability to sit in the pressure and let it do its work, like you can't get out of things prematurely. You have to sit in them and allow them to take their course and shape you into what you're trying to become. And so that was huge. And now as a businessman, man, my mentors have changed. But I still surround myself with people that are where I want to be. So I get mentored by Marcus Ogden, who's a world famous keynote speaker, Eric Thomas, Inky Johnson, Jeremy Anderson, Coach Crump. I mean, I have a plethora of people that I lean on, and then I'm not ashamed to say I pay them, for those mentorship opportunities, because they are where I want to go. Being in the right rooms leads to the right opportunities, which leads to new rooms and new opportunities, right? And so even when I started with my first business coach, Marcus, we started out as a coach-client relationship. Now we're at the point where we're friends. We do business together. He's still a mentor of mine. He still coaches me, but we're able to do deals together because I've earned that respect and that trust from him. And so, I think mentorship is huge because it opens up so many doors. And the best coaches in the world have coaches, man. I look at, again, the people that coach me have coaches. Like if you're not taking advantage of the people around you to make you better, I think you're missing out on a huge opportunity.
And speaking to the young athletes out there, you were one yourself. I mean, what's some of the things that you see in today's culture that could be helping them to be distracted from reaching their fullest potential?
Yeah, the outside noise. Everybody's got an opinion. Everyone's got a thought, and everybody's got something to say about everything that you're doing. You just got to put blinders on, man. You got to just run your race, like own your process. Don't look left. Don't look right. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare somebody that's on step 10 to your step 1. Like just run your race and control everything that you can control. And I think that's the big key to it. So you have to prioritize your time management. Like I tell people, if you want to be an elite athlete, you got to be a junkyard dog over your free time. You cannot allow your free time to get sucked up by people that don't want the best for you. Right. And you have to accept that if you want to be great at something, your life has to look different than other people. And that's a hard reality for young people to hold on to. But if you can grasp it and you can put the work in, the opportunities are there.
And also, last point I would like you to address is being in sports. It gives you that discipline, gives you that team environment. How important is it for parents to support their young people when they are in these sports and when they notice that they might have a superstar in the making? And also, I know there's a lot of questions, but it all comes together. Even if they don't go fully professional, they still have those characteristics being part of that team environment.
Yeah, I would urge any parent out there, man, let your kids be kids. Let them get involved in team sports because you learn so many skills. Like there's a statistic out there that, to your point of not going professional, there's a statistic out there that like 90% of Fortune 500 CEOs were former athletes. And so the skills and the traits that you learn from being in a team sport are invaluable. They're things that other people wish they had. And that's things like overcoming adversity. That's things like problem solving. That's things like time management. That's things like communication, leadership skills. All of those things show up in team sports. And so if you're a parent out there and you're like, man, I don't know if I want my son or daughter to do this, I urge you, let them compete. Let them learn to compete. And I think there's something beautiful about learning at a young age, what it feels like to win and what it feels like to lose. And I think you have to learn that. And I think there's a lot of people in today's society that don't learn that early enough and that haven't tasted defeat and realize that like, this is something that I don't like. And this is something that I don't want in my life. And I can control whether it happens again, by controlling the things that I can control and by putting the work in. And if you have somebody that, as a child that is showing that promise and is showing that potential to be really, really special, just don't let them get ahead of themselves. Don't let them get ahead of themselves. A lot of parents are worse than the kids. And especially when we were coaching at the Division1 level, a lot of the parents were worse than the kids, man, when it came to scholarships, when it came to going pro, when it came to all that stuff. Like, it's not your life. It's not your life. Let them run their race. Let them do what's best for their future. And remember at the end of the day that it's about them. They're the ones putting their body on the line every single day. They're the ones that are skipping, hanging out with friends and not being a normal kid and not being a normal college student and not eating the things that normal kids eat because they have to eat healthy and they have to train and they have to do all these things. So just keep that in mind. I always get disappointed when I see parents kind of steal a show from the kids. Like, let them and celebrate them for their hard work, support them when things get hard, and try and keep them grounded. That's the best advice that I can give to parents that have that superstar kid. Keep them grounded. Keep them based in today and be where your feet are. Don't always be looking for the next big thing. Just focus on being the best athlete and the best parent that you can be today.
And also, once again, this is I Am Refocused Radio, talking to our guest, Coach Kitch. He is the founder and president of Edge Leadership Academy. Go to edgeleadershipacademy.com. Real quick, don't want to leave out the athletes out there. Those who are athletes, maybe they're a little bit older, they're high school or college. But, reality is setting in that they probably will have to go pursue something else. Have another plan if they don't make it in the pros, or maybe they are in that phase where they feel like, I do want to try something else. I don't really want to go pro or whatever. What do you say for them when they transition from knowing, eating, living, breathing sports, and now, like yourself, having a new chapter opportunity to pursue something different?
Yeah, just keep in mind that this is one page in the story. And so your athletic career does not define you, but it can absolutely propel you into your next chapter. Like, I allowed my athletics career to push my trajectory into my next chapter, which allowed me to have the success that I have. And so, a lot of people will try and tell them it's like a breakup and you just got to go cold turkey. You don't. You don't. Look back on those wins, look back on those memories, look back on those relationships that you built, those skills that you built, the adversity that you've overcome, and utilize that, because you have something that, again, the majority of the population doesn't have. So you can walk into corporate America and you can crush it if you utilize the skills and the toughness and the resiliency that you built through sports over the years. Your skills are not worthless. And sometimes athletes feel like they don't know how to do anything else. It's not true. You can take the traits that you've learned and you can apply them to anything. It's the same concept no matter where you go. And again, you're built different. And so embrace that, go in, find a new outlet to compete, and go be the best version of yourself.
And I want to end this interview, but you said some things that I want to dig deeper on. So I promise this is the last question. Based on your professional experience, coming from an athlete and using that experience and becoming your own boss and being a CEO, when you look at someone who's listening to this right now and they're like, all right, he's done that, he's doing it, but how did Coach Kitch network? How did you use the leverage of your experience and your connections with other coaches and athletes and friends and mentors? How did you take that first step in networking? Because that can be scary as well.
Yeah, honestly, man, it was just building relationships. It was just being very, very honest and very open with people, and not asking for things up front. Like, I think networking gets this bad rap because it's like, oh, we're trying to meet somebody so that we can get something, right? And I've really made a habit out of not asking for anything. More so when I go into a room or when I'm networking with people, I'm trying to figure out, what can I do for them? Like, what can I give them first? And maybe that's just a good conversation. but everybody has something to offer. And so you can't be afraid to have that conversation and shoot your shot. That's the other big thing. When I transitioned from sports and the college athletics world to business, I had to build a new network, because my network from college athletics, it helped me. Absolutely. I got gigs, and, within a year or 2 years of opening my business, I was speaking at the University of Miami because of the relationships that I had, through athletics. But on the other side, I had to build new relationships. And so I had to go out into the unknown and just shoot my shot, man. And that's what it comes down to. Like, we have social media, we have LinkedIn, we have, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Shoot your shot. Everybody is one phone call, one DM away, and that one DM can change your life. Like, all you need to do is reach out and have a conversation, be a good human. And then when the time comes, the opportunity will show itself. And then you just got to go after it. You got to have the guts to go get it too. That's the other part.
Yeah, I heard someone say before, adding to what you said, is get involved, whatever it is. You might think it's a small opportunity, but it can grow to something massive. And to your point, not trying to take something from a new connection, but maybe what can you give that's valuable? What can you do? Sometimes just showing up and being involved in that other person's life or opportunity, no matter how small it is, it can grow big.
Yeah. And I like, my thing is, when I meet new people and when I'm networking with people, I want people to be like, you have to meet Kitch. Like, that's what I want. You know what I mean? That's the reputation that I want, is that I want people to be like, yo, like, Kitch is the guy. Like, he knows a guy. He can help you, and I want to be someone that people want to meet, because I'm me, because I'm authentic, because I'm real, I'm raw, and they know from the jump that I'm going to be honest with them, and I'm going to be upfront with them, and I'm going to build a real relationship. So I don't want a million LinkedIn friends. I want people that know, hey, Kitch is a genuine dude. And if I need something, I can go to him. And because when you build relationships like that, what happens is, and I've seen this in my own life, what happens is I'm now at a point where I have an army of people, because I've built these relationships so deep, and because I touch base and I keep up with people, and I'm reaching out and I'm celebrating their wins, and there's no jealousy, there's no envy, there's no want, there's nothing like that. That when there's opportunities that are being spoken about in a room that I'm not in, people are still saying my name. And that's the beauty of it. That's when your network is worth something, because I'm now getting calls, and I've seen this again. I've seen it play out in my own life, where I'm getting calls from people and they're like, hey, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z service. I was in a room with these people and they brought up your name and said that you're somebody that I should get in touch with. Like, that's when you're winning the game. That's when you're doing. But the only way you can do that is through building real relationships, right? And so I want people in my circle that will say my name in a room that I'm not even in, right? That's what I want. And then on the flip side of that, I want them to know that I'll do the same for them. I'll help you win. Like, your light does not get dimmed by helping somebody else win. And there's too much envy in the world. And I know I'm on a TED Talk right now, but there's too much envy in the world. Go out and help other people win, help other people shine, and that will be reciprocated to you.
Yeah, I can't agree more to that. I mean, that's spot on. One thing I would say is we do live in a time where it can be easily, what can I get from this? And to your point, sooner we can take that off and say, okay, what can I do to contribute to this? That's when the amazing things start happening. Those seeds start to be planted. Like, to your point, people will express, your values when you're not present. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest win right there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's the people business. No matter what you do in life, you're in the people business.
Once again, man, talking to Coach Kitch, man, the founder and president of Edge Leadership Academy. You can go to his website, edgeleadershipacademy.com, for more information. And best way our audience can support you, was the call to action for them to learn more about opportunities that they may have with you.
Yeah, man. So the best way to get in touch with me, we have one-on-one coaching slots available right now. We also do a group mentorship program every 3 months. We'll run that and it lasts 3 months. That'll be opening up again in the fall. That's called The Table because we say everybody wants a seat at it and everybody wants to bring something to it. So we've built our own mentorship group. Through that, you'll get introduced to a bunch of like-minded people. So again, that'll open this fall. And we have one group running right now. We'll open our next group in the fall. We also do, group services. If there's something that you're looking for an organization, a keynote address, anything like that, all that information can be found on our website. You can also connect with me on any social media. I keep it very simple. I'm at Coach D Kitch on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, whatever the new one is. I'm on all of them. Just hit me up and get in the DMs, and I'm more than happy to network and connect with anybody.
And once again, I want to say thanks to Coach Kitch for taking time, man, I know you're busy, so thanks for giving this wisdom for our audience, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man.